Good morning. Welcome to Thursday. It is our final episode of the podcast for the week. The sun is shining. It's been an incredible week. It feels like the sun has been helping us along with the celebration. Here at least. I know that it might not be sunny where you are, so just insert some other method of celebration. We're going to hang on for a minute, wait for our live studio audience to arrive, which is Cecilia, but I wouldn't like to start without her. As a reminder though, of course, we are doing this at 9 a.m. UK time, Monday through Thursday. And this is the last episode for the week, but we are back on Monday. That said, if you enjoy the podcast and you want to do some more fun stuff together, we do have our event on Sunday. So if you're not already a member of the Itchy Soul Playground, I would encourage you to check that out. uwe.com/join is where you can find out more about that. I will mention it at the end as well for the official part of the recording. That said, let's get cracking. We have two people in our live studio audience today, one of which is Cecilia. I don't know who the other person is. If you want to pop a comment in so I can give you an official hello, that would be amazing. Because this is a record. This is a new record for us on YouTube. It's Carolyn. Woohoo! Carolyn made it over from Facebook. Ever since we moved the podcast, so for August, some of you will remember, we moved the podcast from doing it as a Facebook Live over to YouTube. And I'm loving doing it on YouTube for logistics reasons, and it goes out immediately, etc., etc. However, I know it's been a challenge for some people because they haven't been able to find it, but Carolyn has. Woohoo! So welcome. Right, we're going to get started for real then. That's exciting. That's just made me all excited. It's not just you, Carolyn, that got stuck. Other people found it hard to find it on YouTube too. But you are now proof and evidence that it can be done. I'm just saying. So let's get cracking for real, because then you can get on and enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Welcome to today's episode of the Heaven and Hell podcast. I am your host, Elle Edwards, founder of the Itchy Soul Playground and Yuya. As you might remember, if you've been following along all week, we've been celebrating. We've been focusing on celebration as our theme. And today we are celebrating the wins, because one of the pieces that we explored a little bit yesterday was this idea that, was it yesterday or was it via the Holy Spirit Love Note? I can't actually remember. At some point this week, we've explored the idea how Christmases are great. I know when it was. There you go. Okay, we're just keeping it real here. It was in a post on social media. We explored this idea that Christmas is great, vacations are great, those special occasions are great. However, if we live our life and expect to wait for those moments for life to be delightful, we're missing out on so much joy and delight and wonder. And that's kind of what ties in with today's episode. Yes, ideally I would probably cut out the bit where I go, what was it? But here on the podcast, we are about doing life out loud. It's real life. So take this as your reminder. This is like a bonus reminder. Take this as your reminder, if you need one, that you do not need to edit life. Life is about living and doing it out loud. And yes, sometimes that means that we may make mistakes and other people will see them. That's just the way it is. We can cope. So celebrating is really important. And as I was pondering on this over my coffee and saying to Holy Spirit, what's it about and why is it important? We have a couple of different things. So what is celebrating really about? It's about daily thankfulness. Now, I know not everybody loves the idea of a gratitude list or a thankfulness list. It can feel quite prescribed and a bit fake. I'm just going to say that. I might shock some people that, no, you can't say that. I love my gratitude list. If you love your gratitude list, that's great. I for a time there's a number of different journals. They give you space to list out 3 things that you're thankful for. And at that particular moment, I was like, I don't know, coffee, the sunshine. It became really light and fluffy. And yes, it's good to be thankful for coffee and the sunshine is great. But if we make thankfulness this thing that we do once a day in a prompt for a list, we miss out on the magic. Instead, I want to encourage you, go back to that list of promises that you had if you explored it last week. What are those things that are done from God's perspective? Because I'm going to say it, I'm going to guarantee you, right? If you go back and do that list with God, you're going to go, wow, that's amazing, thank you. That is gratitude. And that's heartfelt and actually wow. And it will excite you and empower you and inspire you for those times when things get a bit mucky. And so that's a piece of it, is stepping into recognizing what are those things that you're being promised. What are those things that are yours to walk out, and being thankful for it. The other really delightful thing about doing this, there's 2 things. Thing number 1, when you do this and you go, okay, God, what are these things we're going to play with today? Wow, that's really fun. Wow, thank you for that. Like today, I'm like, I actually am really thankful for the sunshine, because we haven't, this is such a British cliche, I'm going to just put it out there. But you know, the British summer can be a bit wet. And we had a heat wave right sort of mid to end July, where we all just melted for a week and complained about it a lot. And then it rained. Here in Wales, at least, it rained and was gloomy and cold. And I was like, ugh, really? I'd like some sunshine, please. And here we are. The sunshine is back and it feels like summer all over again. And I am really thankful for that. But the funny thing is, the more that you practice appreciating and just going, wow, that thing is wonderful, and using that as an opportunity to explore all of life with God, he loves that. And the other really cool thing is that the way that he crafted your mind is wired to seek out those things that are important to it. And so, okay, I can't impact the weather by being thankful for it. Okay, that would be ridiculous. However, other things in day-to-day life, when you're going through your day and like, oh wow, that was really fun, that was amazing, golly, wow, God, that was great, thank you so much. Yes, that's great, because it engages you in relationship with him. And it's great because the way that your mind is wired, your mind will go ding, 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 ding. That thing is really important. Let's do more of that, whatever that looks like within the context of your day. And so this idea of celebrating the wins as a part of just being human, doing daily life, it's really good for you. You know, as you're going to hear, I don't know if all of you catch our micro podcast, Sam Says, but in the micro podcast today, the reminder from Sam is that happiness, Sam is Holy Spirit, in case you missed that episode, that's a story for another time. But the reminder from Holy Spirit today is that happiness is good for you. And this idea of celebrating the wins every day, going throughout day-to-day life, having all of your senses open for those things in today that are lovely and wonderful. It's really good for you. You know, one of my favourite verses in Philippians 4:8, I think it is, or Philippians 4:9. Think lovely thoughts is the shortened version of that. Whatever's true, whatever's lovely, whatever's trustworthy, whatever's praiseworthy, focus on those things. Because the way that your mind is wired, the more that you appreciate those things, the more that you seek out those things, the more easier it becomes to even see them. It becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. We've explored this before, and I almost feel like I'm beating a dead horse. Not that I would beat a dead horse or even an alive horse, because that would be really mean. And that's a really strange turn of phrase, that one. But I do feel like I'm almost over-hammering the point. But there will be some people who need that reminder. Or there will be some people who we've never explored this with before. So for those of you who we have done this before, I make no apology for that. Just take it as your reminder. Your mind is incredibly, incredibly powerful. It is incredibly wonderfully made. And the more that we can step into today expecting this day to be delightful. You know, yes, stuff comes up into the day. Sometimes things are tricky. Sometimes you go through a season where it feels like, it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. But the more that you can practice going, okay, this thing is a bit rough, but at least find the silver lining, and then ask God to open your senses so you can look around you and go, what is lovely right now in this moment? When you are having those really difficult seasons, you might even need to put like reminders on your phone. I know that sounds slightly calculated. And I know right at the start of this episode, I said, do you know what? I don't want you doing a gratitude list one time in the day because it's prescribed. However, that said, if you are going through a season when it actually is quite hard to recognise the things that are lovely in the day, we have practical tools that we can do to help us. And our phones, because we live in the 21st century, we have phones that can ping and pop and remind us of stuff. And so I'd encourage you, set those reminders on your phone. Reminders to pause. Okay, God, what's lovely right now? Bring to my attention that thing that is great right now. You're not going to need those reminders all of the time. You know, the more that you do it, the more intuitively it becomes, or that's not the right word, but the more instinctive maybe is the right word. The more that you do it, the more it becomes like this natural default. I've described some people as this irrepressible silver lining spotter because I do it without even thinking now. I didn't used to do that. And I still can be grumpy sometimes. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm not, because that's not true. I can be, particularly like at 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night, if you try and engage me in a real deep and meaningful conversation, It's not the best time to get the best out of me because I'm really not a night owl at all. But the more that you focus on and practice and looking out for those things that are lovely, the easier it really does become. And the great thing, you as a person of faith, you don't have to do it on your own. Holy Spirit is there with you. So you can say, God, open my senses. Help me see and hear and experience all of those things that are wonderful. He loves doing life with you. And so the more that you do that together, the more delightful it becomes. I'm going to pause for a moment there because I can hear upstairs there is movement, which means the dog is about to come downstairs and go bananas potentially. But she's not. Well, there's new. Okay, there's something to be thankful for. Those of you who follow along on the live episodes most days will have already been introduced to my dog and how well trained she has my family members. The rule is she walks downstairs and then she gets a biscuit. But she has to remind us that she gets a biscuit. And it would be really easy to go, oh, this is so annoying, the dog's getting up, she's going to start barking again. But instead, the silver lining from that is, do you know what? I know the pattern, I know how it plays out. And right now, this moment, she's not barking. I'm amazed. Ridiculous. I just feel like we're going to wait for it. There you go. See? At this point, I want to remind you that you get to feel extra special because you get like a behind-the-scenes peek, a reminder that real life happens. For people who watch this on the edited version that goes out, on the podcast channel and all the different places like that, I'll cut this bit out. But this is like an extra special piece for you. So if you don't already feel extra special today, then please do now. Give yourself a hug and go, yay, I'm special, because you're very special. But it is that reminder that real life does happen. And you get a choice. Yes, we can edit it out. And so for the purposes of the main podcast episode, I do edit out the dog barking because it makes for a better listening experience for everybody. But there's also something quite fun about you getting that sort of like sneak peek behind the scenes. It is that reminder. We can overly edit life, but I would encourage you not to, because the more that you show up and just simply be you, the more that you give permission to other people to do the same. Carolyn's getting super special good vibes. Well, that's nice. Excellent. Having said that, I have completely lost my train of thought of where we were with the rest of the main episode, but hey, it is what it is. I want to encourage you today and remind you that you are here to celebrate. We said in the show notes that celebration is kingdom. What do I mean by that? It's that verse where Jesus says, seek first the kingdom and all this other stuff will be given to you as well. He knows the things that you need for day-to-day life. It's really easy for someone like me to sit behind my camera and go, yeah, just focus on all those delightful things. God's got it sorted. It may not feel sorted from your life, from your perspective right now today. I understand that. We have to acknowledge that. And at the same time, as we've already explored in this episode, where you put your attention, your mind will attract in and notice more of the things. And I say that word attract, because the law of attraction gets this bad rap in Christian circles because it's a bit woo-woo. It's actually scientific. And so the law of attraction, folks, yes, they talk to the universe. We talk to the creator of the universe. But the reason why it works is because that's the way that your mind is wired. That's how God created you to be. It doesn't actually have to be mystical. And one thing I would say as well, it's, for me, the biggest frustration, again, this is a bit of an aside, but the biggest frustration, or one of the biggest frustrations I have with law of attraction is that people say, well, if you just think about it hard enough and will it hard enough, then it will happen. And then you go through a season in life where it's just one wrong thing after another and everything is really difficult. And if we're going to believe that every single thing that happens in our day happens because, we thought it into existence, that becomes a bit like victim blaming. And so that's where I would part company with some of that thinking. But the actual science behind, the things that you notice, your mind will filter in more of the same. It's because of the reticular activating system at the back of your mind. There's a collection of neurons. It's science. And so one of the things that we really don't need to get hung up on is throwing out everything just because it sounds a bit sort of like, I'm not quite sure. Instead, we can do this with God and go, okay, what's your truth in this? I've already mentioned Philippians 4:8 or Philippians 4:9, I always forget which one it is, where Paul says to think about all those lovely things. God said it first. And so let's not reject stuff and instead go and help, ask God to help us understand people's heart. I've shared with you before, so people talk about like chakras and energy stuff, this, that, and the other, stuff that I don't really know much about, which is why I'm talking about it in wishy-washy terms. And we do have this tendency, and I'm talking in generalizations, but we do have this tendency within the Christian church to go, no, 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 no. Instead, what if we go, actually, what is it that people are seeking? Because every single person was created and crafted for that IER, that intentional expectant relationship. And yes, maybe because of the baggage and the stories and the way that they grew up, the way that God has been presented to them is not a God who they want to do life with. To be quite honest, I would challenge, the next time someone says to you, I don't believe in God, well, what God don't you believe in? Because I probably don't believe in him either. It's time for a transformation, a revival of how God really wants to be known by us. And that focus on his love and his heart for you, because he loves you so, so much. But instead of rejecting all of those things that people are saying, well, what is it that they're actually searching for? Yes, they're using language that might not be the words that we would use, but that is a part of their spirit, their soul, reaching out to that relationship piece. And actually, if we start engaging people in conversations at that level, that's a lot more powerful. That's a complete tangent that isn't really related to this idea of celebrations at all. But hey, these episodes, we go with the flow, and somebody somewhere needs that reminder, if not today, then another day. I don't know. Which reminds me, of course, as well, I should say, if you have someone in your life who struggles to celebrate, if someone in your life who tends to save thankfulness and celebration for the big occasions, I would encourage you to share this episode with them, because it is good for you. Daily celebration, those things that are lovely in our today. You are called to thrive, to do life with God in relationship and have a delightful life. Yes, there are challenges, but that doesn't need to be your default. My last reminder via the podcast for this week, we are having our first one-day event in the Itchy Soul Playground this Sunday. At the time of recording, it is on Sunday, August the 29th. So if you're not already a member of the Itchy Soul Playground, I would encourage you to come and join us. I've said to you before, you can just join us for the day, or you can come and join us in the playground, get all of the wonderful benefits of being a playground member and have this as part of your membership. That would be my recommendation. But if you're somebody who finds day-to-day life a little bit frustrating, adulting can get a lot sometimes, and you're ready to explore the work of art that God created you to be so that you can step into the fullness of that, Sunday's event is for you. Youier.com/join is where you can come and join the Itchy Soul Playground. We also do have a special page just for the event. Youier.com/YBD. That stands for Youier by Design. But whether you join us or not, just know that you have God's heart. He loves you so much, and he is inviting you today to step into celebration. And if you're not sure what that looks like, ask him. Remember, all of this is an invitation to do conversation, to do life, relationship. Relationship, not religion. It can be like a new bumper sticker. It's not new at all. Lots of people have been saying it for a very long time. As always, though, just thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. I hope that you have a super duper rest of your week, and I shall be back on Monday. I don't yet know what the theme is for next week, so if you're following along on one of the social media platforms, keep a lookout for the post. Oh, except to say, if you want to get the links, youier.com/listen. On Sunday afternoon, that, all being well, will be updated with all of the links and the things that you need for next week. Although we do have our one-day event on Sunday, so I'm not sure when that's going to happen. We'll ask Holy Spirit, maybe Saturday. Anyway, that's the easiest place to find out where we're doing the podcast and what we're doing. And if you want to come and join us live, like Carolyn and Acelia, you can do that via YouTube from 9 a.m. on Monday. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your day, amazing weekend, and I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye. And this is where we say goodbye to Carolyn and Acelia as well. Thank you for joining me, ladies. It's just wonderful to have you there, knowing that you're there. And I'm going to go back and check those emojis, because it's funny. I was saying this to Acelia, Carolyn. When you share an emoji, because of the software that I'm using, all I see is the word good vibes. But I know there's like a little dot either side of it. So I know that's an emoji. So I look forward to going back and seeing what that emoji looks like. So there you go. Anyway, have a very, very good rest of your day, and I shall catch up with you soon. Take care.